Hair is one of my favorite films of all time. How did Milos Forman get the young cast to focus within how he changed the story? And what element of your performance are you most proud?
Okay, first of all, that film was made 10 years after the play.
Right.
So for the auditions, they wanted people who had never been in it, and preferably had never even seen it, because it was so different. Because he approached it, you know, in a classical musical way, that each song either develops the character or moves the plot forward. And his casting process was very interesting. I once asked, I was very close to him, and I once asked him, what do you think is the most important thing you do as a director? And he said, casting. And the way that he cast was interesting, because he would gather different conglomerations together, and we would improvise. Well, the thing is, at that point, I was very young, I was 24, and I lived on communes for a couple of years, and I was someone who came from a, you know, decent, like upper middle class family.
So
and
you knew the character.
So I wanted to play the hippie girl.
Oh.
And so I started doing the auditions, and what started to emerge was that I was more the debutante. And then I got cast as that, but that I think I must have done 12 auditions. But that was his process. And then the way that he got the cast to focus was really through the casting process, so that when we came to shoot, you know, we all knew who our characters were, and maybe most importantly, we knew what our relationships were with each other.
Beautiful.
So we just were
Thank
free.
You for that insight.
Yeah, he was a brilliant director. Brilliant director.
Yeah. You famously, of course, portrayed Patsy Cline, Coal Miner's daughter. What essence or sense of her did you develop within the performance to get so much notice and acclaim?
Well, first of all, I began my real professional career. I was an animator for about 15 minutes at Hanna-Barbera,
Wow.
and I had this commune life, and I was a singer. I immigrated to Canada. I was a singer, but I immigrated as a studio vocalist, and then I joined a repertory company with a show that was taken to Broadway. But in my heart, I was a singer.
Nice.
But the thing about the Broadway show is that when it closed, nobody wanted. It was the film industry that came after me. Young, 24, a pretty girl, ready for anything. It was just that moment. So for Coal Miner's Daughter, I referred back to my roots as a singer, because I sang in Canada with a guy named Ronnie Hawkins, who had a band called The Hawks, who left him, went with Dylan, and then became The Band.
Wow.
And so it was Ronnie who turned me on to Patsy Cline.
Nice.
So I knew exactly who she was. Every singer does.
Yeah.
And so now here I am a few years later, auditioning for it, and I didn't do a screen test because I looked nothing like her, but I did an audio test where the producer of Patsy Cline, Owen Bradley, also produced a soundtrack album.
Oh my God.
So they sent me the recording minus her voice, and that got me in there. And so as far as, you know, the way she performed, there were a lot of television shows that I could look, you know, Arthur Godfrey's Town Show and the Jamborees and stuff like that. So I got a sense of her stillness. She was a big woman. She was tall and everything. So I tried to embody that, you know, the power that commutes, because I'm teeny. But Sissy was small too, so it all kind of worked out. And also, when I did the pre-record, I re-recorded many songs. A lot of songs were cut out of the film and the performances and stuff, because it was kind of pulling away from the Coal Miner's Daughter story.
Right.
But I recorded many songs with Owen, who had produced Patsy originally. So I had all those stories, and he gave me her background, and he said that originally she wanted to growl and kind of did a rockabilly before she went to Decca, his label. And that gave, you know, it just had a lot of insight into her personality and her performance style.
How valuable. What a valuable experience.
Yeah.
Really. You also took on the iconic role of Stella Dubois Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire. What did you understand about her that drove your performance, and what in your background was closest to who she was?
First of all, I've had a wild life. You know, I've had a lot of experiences, and I am really kind of oriented toward being in the moment. So
nice.
As far as drawing on my particular background, you know, I think an actor is always delving into parts of themselves that And I think it's kind of our responsibility to explore places in the heart and in the psyche that, like, the average bear doesn't have the time or the desire to.
Right.
So they can kind of live through the character a little bit, that you're being of service kind of thing.
Right.
I did go down to New Orleans. Of course, I read the play many times, and actually, there were lots of things. I mean, there was one scene where I was thinking about my mom. There was another scene where I was thinking about some other stuff, and that all came from my experience. And that was at a time when, as an actress, I really was kind of doing that process of give me a minute, let me do some sense memory and stuff. But then I kind of grew out of that because I really believe that everything's within you at any given moment. You blink and it's there. So
you are a prolific working actor with an incredible 40 credits just in the 80s and 90s. What do you love about the work that motivates you to explore the universe through the power of acting?
Well, what I like about acting is I like anything that engages me in the creative. And when you make a movie, I am fully engaged in the creative. I read the script to understand the vision. I read the script also to see, like, what role does this really play in the whole big picture. Especially when you just have a feature role, you got to look at it like a painting, and you got to go, what's this color here? Is the writer asking for some red, blue, like what tonally,
Right.
Again, I really feel that an actor is of service to the writer and the director and everybody's dreams. It's just the actor's the last person in front of the camera, right? But you carry everybody's, their own motivations. But as far as how I use that to explore the universe, everything's a life experience, and acting's part of my life. Acting is not there's a through line there, but I've never been a careerist, so there's nothing that I ever sacrificed so that I could do a movie. And you can kind of tell by my credits. Okay, it's been my life first, and acting's a prong.
This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2025.